We're not only embarking on the largest mass mobilization that any new administration has ever seen in history, we're also putting together, I believe, the first intersectional mobilization, which brings in environmental and climate justice, racial justice, immigrant rights and immigration, women's rights, women's reproductive rights.
This is not just a moment, this is a movement.
At 7 p.m. the night of the election, my 6-year-old came up to me and said, "Mama, tell Hillary Clinton I'm sorry." I just said, "Oh, baby, this is just the beginning of the evening." No one thought that was going to happen. We, as a nation, were not in touch with each other and are not in touch with each other in the way we need to be.
I don't know if I want to frame it that Donald Trump helps anybody do anything, but it has outraged people enough that their outrage is being translated into wanting to be more active.
A lot of women are coming to the table saying, "I had no idea that racism was still as it is today. I had no idea misogyny. I didn't know it was this deep, and now I understand." Every one of us has a time and a moment when we can plug into the movement.
Women are coming together from all different walks of life, cross race, cross gender, cross issue.
We came up with the idea, let's do a march on Washington on Inauguration Day weekend. It really started going viral.
It's the first day of the president's job, and we're basically bringing out as much people as we can to say, look, all these people right here, they stand with Muslims, they stand with immigrants, they stand with women.
I've dedicated 22 years of my life to movement building and criminal justice reform. And I get a call from my dear friend. There's this march happening and I think you should be a part of it. Didn't really realize what we're getting into, but also felt like this responsibility to frame the conversation, really be intentional.
When you look at the co-chairs of this march and the diversity there, our different experiences and our different backgrounds, even that is fascinating.
We need to make sure that we just keep women of color at the forefront, and that's why I have been trying to make sure that on the Women's March page that we're visually seen. It's given a lot of the people involved in it a new outlook on what female leadership is supposed to look like, that it's supposed to be inclusive of everybody, because so often when we think of female leadership, it's white women. The fact that these women are the faces of it paints an entirely new picture for everybody.
I am Latina. I didn't ever see anybody on TV that looked like me. It's about the young girls that could feel inspired by seeing somebody like themselves on stage or in a picture, whatever it may be. It's our responsibility to make that happen.
When you bring all the voices of all the communities together, it makes it historic.
It's always been so hard to organize a truly intersectional women's movement because we are not a monolith. We're half the population and our issues are varied and all of our privileges and lack of privilege intersect with each other.
People are coming with so much frustration and hurt and so much aspirations for what kind of country they want to live in.
As women are very, very focused on the fact that they're going to Washington with their issue on their back. And it's not just women's issues. It's also the issues of how our families and communities are affected. So we've invited men to be present with us, to stand with us, children, gender non-conforming folks, all people, because a woman is only the centerpiece of so much more that goes on around us.
If you can fight for women's rights, you can fight for rights across the board.
That's one of the key things, this march not being exclusively about women, it being about everyone, but centering the most marginalized among us. It's wrong what people are going through now in America, and we must ensure that we do not have our rights rolled back.
This type of endeavor takes months to plan. We want to make sure that everybody knows that they need to come, because it's the way in which our administration is going to pay attention to us, to show a huge presence which looks like radical resistance.
I'm hoping what people get out of this march is that when you see 3 of the 4 national co-chairs of the Women's March on Washington, which will go down in history, are women of color. Oftentimes people think, oh, I can only be an activist if I have a certain skill. I'm a public speaker, or I have some charisma, or I have this certain political ideology, when in fact, anybody could be an activist. So what's your skill? What do you know how to do? Offer your skills to the movement, and I'm telling you, the movement will welcome you with open arms.
It takes less effort than people would imagine. How we live our lives is ultimately political. The personal is the political. You're involved whether you like it or not.
What we're seeing happen today is more decentralized leadership, that there are a lot of people who are in the movement who can carry the message, carry the torch. That is the structure that we see happening around this country.
Through leveraging all of our incredibly diverse talents and backgrounds, we have this opportunity to make a difference in a new way. If you can take those millions of people, teach them, organize them, and then mobilize them, then who knows what we can accomplish together. That's what I'm really excited about.